My name is Thomas Weibler, co-founder and CTO at FLEXOPTIX. And yes, I have the honor now to have two presentations. One is a kind of a lightning talk, because I think it fits very well to the IXP where we are now at LINX, about LR1, and I don't want to extend it too much. So it's all about the 100 gig area where we are when you want to interconnect to your IXP, either make the decision in the past doing LR4 or now LR1. And so what's the difference there, and especially which number is better? To start quickly, the clicker doesn't work, or it's me. Now, here we go. A little bit of history where we're coming from. So back in 2010, all the 100 gig started to evolve. The first 100 gig LR4s were the big, bulky CFPs. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with those ones, and we are all happy that they are no longer around, hopefully. And with the evolution, 2015, the LR4 in a nice form factor, QSP 28, came out, which was pretty helpful, pretty nice, and also the first IXPs started to deploy them also as client interfaces. And then there was a magic number, 2020. The LR1 came out, and actually they were more, I would call them always like a garbage product out of the 400 gig development, because then we were suddenly able to place a DSP inside the transceiver, feed it with some power to run it, and get a single lambda out of a 100 gig transceiver. And just for the completeness, now in the current age, in 2025, 24, the 400 gig era is already there. Even now the 800 gig is coming, and LR1 basically is either skipped or people jump straight to 400 gig. But the interesting part is what's happening inside. And I made a comparison here, looking at just on the laser side, but on the receiver side. It looks pretty much the same, beside the fact that there is a photodiode in there instead of lasers. An LR4 laser, or we call it a transmitter optical subassembly, the TOSA, looks similar like this, what I show here. There's a lot of magic happening in there, and the most critical one is, in my opinion, there are 4 lasers, 4 lenses, a multiplexer for the transmitter part, and you have to combine this all to assemble this everything in micromechanics, place those lenses, place those lasers, and align them properly, that the light is, at the end of the day, all together, all 4 waves on the receptacle. And on the other side, the LR1 is straightforward. There's 1 laser in there, and that's it. Nothing else. No multiplexer. It's way simpler to produce, to test, to qualify, and it's, at the end of the day, when it comes to statistics and probability, it's lasting longer compared with an LR4, because when the 1 laser is failing in an LR4, well, then the whole TOSA is not operational at all, because you're not running at 75 gigabit, you're running at 0 gigabit then. So that's the major difference. On the drawback side for the LR1 is, well, to modulate the signal there, we need a DSP. The DSP does the modulation on PAM4, the pulse amplitude modulation on 4 levels. That's required, otherwise we don't get the serialized 100 gig signal out on the line. So when we compare them, the 2 numbers, LR1 versus LR4, price-wise, the LR1 is cheaper today because it's way simpler to produce. The complexity is reduced. On the other side, the LR4 consumes a little bit less power because the DSP on the LR1 takes power. It needs power to compute. And but in my opinion, I think the greatest advantage for the LR1 is, well, it's fitting perfectly to the 400 gig and even now into the 800 gig ecosystem, because you can break out a 400 gig port in 4 times 100 gig in 4 lambdas running 100 gig each, and serve a 100 gig LR1, which is, I assume, for an IXP quite handy when they deploy their network. And that's basically it. On the other side, we see still LR4 is deployed, especially from companies who deployed LR4 at the early stage, and they qualified it, and they stick to it. That's basically it. And so this was my lightning talk about LR1, LR4, and I'm done. And I think questions we also do at the social later on.